So let us now discuss the review of related literature. So in this part, I will going to show you the several sections that are being explored to provide a background and present the array of research that pertains to the purpose study. So the first one is women in films. So the presence of sexual harassment by a large pool of previous studies in Hollywood, the word actress itself is laden with implicit sexism, as the ESS suffix suggests that roles of actor and actresses vary between men and women as performed. So this statement was explained by Simonton 2004 and cited by Murphy 2015. The next one is the sex-gender distinction. So for different feminist theories, the word sex and gender represents various things and neither is easy or straightforward to describe. A helpful starting point is to sketch out some feminist history of the word. So normally people seem to assume that sex and gender are coextensive. Many feminists disagreed and have endorsed the gender and sex distinction. Depending on the biological characteristics like hormones, chromosomes, sex organs, and other physical characteristics denotes sex, and the gender denotes men and women according to social factor, social status, behavior, or identity. The next one is roles of women on screen. In Hollywood animation films, similar type of stereotypical condition is observed. Male roles outnumbered women, according to Decker 2010. They dominate the screen in levels of power, command, and decision-making roles added by Matti and Lisowski 1999 as cited by Wiersma 2011, and male characters are still overrepresented in profession, while female roles are seen in a variety of roles and behaviors. The next one is racial minorities in film. So most of the characteristics are portrayed on screen are out of sync with both the audiences and gender demographics and ethnographic composition. Several moviegoers account for just 11% of the population but push the cinema industry with 50% of ticket sales, reported by MPAA 2014. So, the theater market statistics survey published yearly by the Motion Picture Association of America reported that most of the moviegoers are Hispanic compared to the size of population of any other ethnic groups that are moviegoers. So let's go to the method of the study. So this study uses descriptive qualitative design. This design focuses on the specific details of the phenomenon, just like the what, where, when, and why of an event or experience. So the research method of this study is qualitative approach. According to May 1997, the procedure of this research uses experimental process accomplished gathering of the facts and figures that coincides, confirm, or connected concepts in order to arrive a conclusion with a strong knowledge and explanation for various critical examination. So then we gathered our data by conducting in-depth individual interviews with 7 movie viewers from University of Mindanao as participants of this study, as well as facilitating a focus group discussion with 7 participants at age of 20 years old and above, as well as trained and competent data analysts analyzed data gathered by using recording on phone or audio recording, screenshots, and then we have researcher-made questionnaire as a guide. We use the Google Meet application, data reduction, drawing conclusions, and verification. So there were 14 students in UM Tagum College who served as informants and participants. Using purposive sampling, we interviewed 7 participants from age of 20 years old and above who already watched the film 365 Days DNI and served as a research informant for the in-depth interview, while the 7 participants for the focus group discussion or the FGD. So this number could help a researcher estimate how many participants they will need, but ultimately, the required number of participants should depend on when saturation is reached, and that is defended by Creswell 1998. So the results and the discussion. So the first question is, what are the stereotype representations observed in the film? So first is gender stereotype. So from the response of the participants, so the movie presents the differences between men and women. In terms of social status, it's very evident that men are richer even if his job is quite aggressive and violent compared to women who's working as a sales director but still became dependent to men. Next one is second class citizen. So women are presented in that way because no matter what a woman does, she cannot beat the superiority of a man, especially in terms or physical. The next one, subordinate to men. Men are very dominant, so we can also see in the movie that the girl is easy to get. Next is weak and helpless. So women are weak and helpless. So women are perceived weak and not able to do men's task, while men are seen as the dominant one, the wisest and the strongest. Next one is, the next theme is as a sex object. Women are being portrayed in the film as sex toys or object of desires who experience sexual assault. So research question number 2, how do women are portrayed in the film? So there are 2 underlying themes in this question. So first one is sexually, physically, and psychologically abused. So from the data that are collected with the use of interviews, there were 2 themes generated out of the responses of the participants. So these 2 are sexually, physically, and psychologically abused, as well as typical women. So physically and psychologically abused, when women portrayed in the film as man's need to satisfy their sexual needs, independent woman who cannot fight for herself and portrayed as inferior. Next is typical women. Women are soft and kind-hearted, weak, needy, and submissive. So they are strong but most of the time passive. Question number 3. So what are the insights by viewers after watching the film 365 Days? So the first theme is women are to be respected. So in order to grasp more data to fully enhance the result of the study, we generate some question under the research question number 3. So there were 5 questions under the main question. So first one is, what are your perception towards the portrayal of women in film? what is the impact of women's portrayal in the film to the viewers, then how significant is the knowledge that you gain about the portrayal of women in the film, what do you think is the problem that women characters experience in the 365 days a day and I that exists today in our society, and the last one is what are the positive and negative experiences you have encountered after watching the film 365. So the first one is the idea of women being portrayed as object of sexual desires. Women are more than that. Women are not just objects to fulfill men's desire. So next one is the everyone deserves self-respect and self-love. So from the summary of the participants' response, so after watching the film, although I did not like it, makes me realize to be more at ease with myself and to build a strong relationship with my soul, to be an independent woman who will not need a man to survive. So the next theme or the next response from the participants is the movie serves as an eye-opener for every woman. So this is the third insight in which it gave awareness to everyone that men viewed women as a need to satisfy their their sexual pleasure. So it somehow became an eye-opener for women to not allow those kinds of things to them. So we should be brave to know our self-worth and how to fight for ourselves. So, so from the discussion, so we have concluded that from the result taken from the participants, both in in-depth interview and focus group discussion, most of them said that women's portrayal in the film shows stereotype representations, gender stereotype, second-class citizen, subordinate to man, weak and helpless, and a sex object. So all these representations were observed by the participants after watching the film. So furthermore, themes that are generated and constructed from the second research questions about how women are being portrayed in the film involves being sexually, physically, and psychologically abused, as well as women showing characteristics of typical women. So moreover, some of other participants said that women in the film 365 Days Day and Night depicts women that we usually see in today's generation. So generally, despite the stereotypical representation or portrayal of women in the film 365 Days Day and Night, the respondents said that they hope that the movie will be more open to appreciate and value women characters, as well as avoiding discrimination towards female portrayal, because sometimes those kinds of portrayal lead to danger and sometimes causes trouble to people, especially to the viewers. So next is these are the people that helps us through the journey of our research or study. So the first one is Sir Larseniel Pascual, our research advisor. Dr. Hazel Princess Emery Bolio, the research coordinator, our first panel, and the panel 2, Dr. Dan O. Gomez, our data analyst, Ma'am Marilyn Arbest, Genevieve G. Israel, the Dean of College, and of course to the Almighty God, and also to the participants. So next is the references or the resources of our study. So I guess that would be all, and thank you.